YouTube, welcome back. Today we're talking about how you can get better aim in Warzone. Now, at the end of the day, aim is the most important thing. I'll talk about positioning, I'll talk about movement. You can have the best of both. You can have the best positioning, you can have the best movement. But at the end of the day, if you can't hit your shots, it does not matter. Having good aim will prevent you from being in bad situations, being able to down and thirst people before they even know what happens. It'll also get you out of bad situations. Say you're caught out in the open and you have to hit your shots. Having good aim will allow you to win that 50-50. So today, I'm gonna give you a few tips that I used for my journey to a 0.7 to a 3+ KD weekly player that allowed me to have better aim, hit my shots, get more downs, get more thirsts, get more team wipes. If you find this video helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up. And as always, if you are looking to continue getting better at Warzone, make sure you are subscribed with that notification bell turned on so that you don't miss any videos. Now, if your teammates have better aim, you'll get more team wipes. So make sure you share this with a teammate. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start off by talking about some settings. And when we talk about settings to get better aim, we're really talking about three things here. We're talking about horizontal stick sensitivity, vertical stick sensitivity, but what I think is actually the most crucial part of having good aim in terms of settings is your ADS sensitivity multiplier, and let me show you why. Now, I've always said horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity is ultimately something you should feel comfortable with. It can be high, it can be low. Ultimately, what you're looking for is when you turn, you should be able to stop on a point and feel comfortable and get yourself close to that point. But why is ADS sensitivity multiplier so crucial to success in aiming? Here's what it looks like as a 10-10. Okay, so as you can see, super quick. Now, when I ADS, right, it's very quick. It's the same speed. Why? Because the multiplier is a 1. So when I ADS, my sensitivity is also a 10, no matter which way I go. Now, if I were to go all the way down, as low as you can go, to a 0.1, just look how slow this is. Like, I am pulling on this stick, right? So this is an extreme example, but I just really want to show you what ADS sensitivity multiplier actually does. So where do we find ourselves with that information? Ultimately, based on your sensitivity, you should find out where you feel most comfortable with the multiplier. So you can feel snappy this way, but if when you actually aim down sight, you struggle to hold it onto a target, you can adjust your ADS sensitivity multiplier, right? So maybe we go a little bit lower here. This way we can hold it more steady and start to really hit those chest and those headshots. That's ultimately what we need to do, is we need to hit as many chest and headshots as possible. That's going to give us the fastest TTK. If you over pull when you're, because you're ADS sensitivity is too high and you end up hitting leg shots, you can lose that engagement. If you end up not being able to track somebody this way and you over track or you under track, that's because of your ADS sensitivity multiplier. You can't keep up with that person. So you need to figure out what that balance is. And again, it's different for everybody. So I know you're probably looking for me to give you an answer. I don't have one. This is something that you have to figure out yourselves and play around with different combinations. Play around with higher sensitivities and lower ADS. I think when I was really comfortable on console, I was at like a 10.65. That's just what I was comfortable. Now I'm at a 65.9. I feel really comfortable there. I feel like I track enemies well. I feel like I track when people bunny hop. Now, I do want to specifically address one thing about my sensitivity. Yes, my horizontal and vertical sensitivities are different. And the reason, and they can be different. You can be on an 8.6, a 9.7. You can be on whatever feels most comfortable for you. Here's why I'm on a 6.5. I feel very good tracking side to side. When people strafe, I feel like I track well. When people jump peek corners, I feel like I track well. Where I tend to struggle is I tend to over pull down on my right stick. What I like to call I'm heavy on the right stick. So I tend to over pull down. So you kind of have two options. You can adjust. You can make the correction be a little bit softer on the right stick, which is of course always an option, or you can just change your sensitivity and play it that way. There's no point in, really going crazy trying to fix it when I can just do this. I can just adjust the sensitivity, and now you see right there, I feel super comfortable, and I can literally almost hold this on the guy's head the whole time. Now look, I know we're not that far, but the point is that that slight change in vertical sensitivity has helped my game a lot. So it is something you can do if you feel like you're hitting too many leg shots, you want to get back to chest and headshots, try that out, see how it works for you. So now let's get into point number 2. Next up is something that we do not talk about enough, especially in Warzone, especially right now with how many viable guns there are. This is something that's not talked about enough, and it's something that I am trying to make you more aware of. Recoil patterns. If you try to maneuver your right stick or your mouse the same way with every single gun, then you're not going to be successful. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to bring up 2 very popular guns. First is the M4. So we're going to go ahead and shoot the whole clip. Okay, so you see what the recoil pattern is for the M4. Now let's bring out the Kilo. Okay, so there's your 2 different recoil patterns. You got the M4 on the left and you got the Kilo on the right. If you try to maneuver your right stick the same way for both of those guns, you are not going to hit your shots. And this happens all the time. This happens with the Cold War MP5, where at the top of the recoil, when you hit that a certain part of the magazine, it just stops. It happens with the Bullfrog, where the Bullfrog goes up and then straight left. It happens with the Ram 7. The Ram 7 is up and straight left. The C58, as you saw in my YouTube video from yesterday, is kind of a weird curving pattern. They're all different. Am I saying it's difficult? No. You know, I think a lot of people will admit that Warzone recoil, it can be simple to control. What I'm saying is they're different. So whatever your build is, which right now you should be building your guns basically the same way everybody else is, you have to understand the recoil pattern. It's super easy. Go in, find a wall in Warzone, drop into Plunder, drop into Modern Warfare multiplayer, you know, whatever the case may be, probably Plunder since we're playing with Cold War guns a lot more now. And just look at the recoil pattern. Understand it. That's how you're going to maneuver the right stick. So start to understand the recoil patterns. And that's why I make such an emphasis on it. Look, build's important. Recoil pattern's more important. It doesn't matter how you build your gun. You know, the recoil pattern could change. If you can control the recoil, then you're going to have good aim. You could have the best build in the world, not know how the gun moves, and you're going to miss all your shots. So tip number 2, understand the recoil patterns for the guns that you're using. So now we have sensitivity. How are you going to set up your controller to feel the most comfortable? We have recoil, so now we understand recoil patterns. Now let's get our repetition in. We're going to get our repetition actually outside of Warzone. There's 2 main ways I do it. The first, if you don't have Modern Warfare multiplayer, go ahead and drop into Plunder. Drop Storage Town. Just practice shooting and getting in engagements. Force engagements. Pop UAVs. Don't worry about winning the game. Just go get your repetition in with the guns that you're using. Now, if you have Modern Warfare multiplayer, here's how we're going to set it up. So we're actually going to go to Private Match, Custom Game. We're actually going to set it up with custom rules, and I'm going to walk you through how I do it. First things first, score limit, time limit, whatever you want. That's not important. Match start time, put that at 15 or 5 seconds so it's quick to hop in. Max health. This is a sticking point for a lot of people. Now, if you feel like you really, really struggle with keeping that right stick steady, go ahead and put it at 300 points. This is going to force you to be very steady and consistent on that right stick. Frankly, a lot longer than you'll have to in Warzone. So it's going to give you that practice. Now, if you're looking to just drop in to, you know, get some repetition in, get some work in, kind of stay fresh a little bit, you know, this is what I do, is 200 points. Look, you have to understand that Warzone's 250, but the damage profiles are different. So 200 seems to be around where what I think Warzone feels like in terms of time to kill. So somewhere between 200 and 300 points in terms of max health. Now, once we get here, I always suggest turning off kill streaks. It's just something minor, but makes it much easier. You don't have to worry about any kill streaks or anything. And here's 2 variations that I run. The first is headshots only. This is going to force you to focus on hitting headshots. As all of you know, headshots are a faster time to kill. So this is really going to force you to focus in on shooting the person in the face. Once we get that down, once we feel comfortable, maybe a game or two, it doesn't necessarily have to be to 250 points, maybe to 50 points or something. Go ahead and back out of the game. Then we're going to go ahead and disable that. And now this is going to be your Warzone feel. This is going to be all bullets count. You're really going to want to focus on hitting headshots and chest shots only. So those are the two variations. Generally speaking, everything stays the same except for the headshots only. I differ on those. Now, in terms of map, you got a few maps. Hackney Yard's okay. The one I always tend to go for is Superstore, and the reason being, where is it? Wherever Superstore is. And the reason being is because, there it is, Atlas Superstore. Reason being is because you get a good mix. You can kind of stay down that main alley and just hold that and work on more long-range fights, or you can actually go ahead and force engagements, play up close, work on your movement, work on slide canceling, jump peeking corners, playing a little closer with, submachine guns and getting used to those engagements. Basically, there's just a long alleyway in the middle of Superstore, so if you just sit there and you can hold that a little bit, use your audio cues to understand where people are. Those are all things that you can practice in bots to get better at. Now, in terms of bot setup, of course, I do mode free-for-all, so basically you're going to be able to have 11 bots. Now, the minimum difficulty I would do is regular. Start on regular. Once you feel comfortable there, go up to hardened, right? Hardened's going to be a little bit more difficult, obviously. I haven't played hardened in a while, so I don't know how they move. Regular's like pretty basic. They're just going to run around. They're just going to shoot you a little bit. Hardened, you get a little bit of movement. Veteran, I know they drop shot and stuff, so they play a little bit more like you'll find in Warzone. They definitely hit their shots. You're going to have to play a little bit smarter, but start on regular, work your way up to veteran. Again, what we're doing here is working towards repetition. For a while, I wasn't a fan of veteran, but I think because they're moving, you're going to have to track a lot better, and that's crucial for Warzone. So that's kind of how I set up my bots to practice. Now, in terms of gun selection, Cold War guns, again, as I said earlier, kind of dominating right now. Dominating Warzone. I think they're going to continue dominating Warzone, but you can't use Cold War guns in here. So we're just kind of looking for... I like to keep it simple. The M4 is a pretty standard recoil gun. Again, we're just looking to kind of work on keeping that right stick steady and hitting our shots consistently. So, I think the M4 is good. In terms of SMGs, you can run the MP5, you can run the Uzi, which is similar to the Milano. You can run the Bison, which is similar to the Bullfrog. You can run the MP7. Again, this is all about just getting repetition in terms of feeling that right stick. It's not necessarily gun repetition. That goes back to recoil patterns and understanding how to maneuver that right stick. This is more of the repetition of, let's just focus on keeping that right stick or mouse steady, hitting our headshots, hitting our chest shots, focusing on that upper torso so that we can get a faster TTK. So those are my 3 tips for better aim. Number 1, sensitivity with your controller. Feel comfortable, find what works for you. Number 2, understand the recoil patterns of the guns you're using. And number 3, get your repetition in, whether it's bots or plunder. As I always say, I hope you found this helpful. Let's get better today, and I'll see you tomorrow.